Okay, students, we're back again. Cosmetology, A to Z, cosmetology. And you guys know this is a pandemic. This is the way we have to do it. Everything you're going to learn it like this, and then I expect you to do it. I will be checking your work. Just as before, it's up to you. Please, questions, ask questions. All right, I'm going to finish the cut. You notice I moved the mannequin over to the other side so you can see what's going on. Because when my arm is up there, it's right in front of the camera too. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm taking this down. I'm holding it at an angle like this for you to see it. But initially what I want to do is cut this straight across, flat to the flat part of the head. All right, I'm going to turn her around. She's got a scotch. Now, if you have a long spot in the front, a big clue about this, if one side is longer than the other, and it happens many times with the zero, remember on one side you're cutting going back. On the other side, you're cutting going forward. All right? So when we're doing that, it's called push-pull. You're always going to be a little longer on one side to the other. Now remember, around the head here, it's rounded. And then what does it do? It gets flat. So if we're flat and then we get rounded, there is going to be a corner. And I'm going to pull up the hair for you to see it right here. Always. This is the flat part. This then turns the curve. So when that happens, you're always going to find a corner. Now let me get something white for you to see this corner. And it never ceases to fascinate me. There's the corner right there. Never ceases to fascinate me that it does that. Sometimes it's going to be a little more, sometimes a little less. Remember, I'm staying right at this area, at this angle. I hope, and see, I palmed my comb. Making sure my shear is straight. Just a scotch of a corner, but it will make one side longer than the other. All right, let me turn her around. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. Oh, come on, thing, work. There. I'm going to do the other side so you can see it. And see, there's minimal hair to do because there isn't a lot right now. So I've traveled this way, traveling around the head form. I can't stress that enough. That is a true zero elevation. The zero means you didn't pick it up. It means that you elevated zero. What the book calls it is projection. There is no projection here, but projection reminds me of a projection booth, or it reminds me of a jet that projected up into the air. There is no actual projection in my mind, and it may be in yours, I don't know. But I want to show you something. There's my marker. If you know what a protractor is, and I'm going to put the protractor this way. Okay, there's the center part of the protractor. You have 0. You have 45. You have 90. You have 135, and you have 180. You can go in a salon, any salon, and tell them you want a 180 haircut, and they all know exactly what you're talking about. You can tell them you want a 0 haircut, and they know exactly what you're talking about. You can tell them you want a 90 haircut, and they know exactly what you're talking about. If you say that you want a 45-degree angle, their response to you is they're going to say, where do you want it at a 45 degree? Because that now becomes something a little bit different. You're going to learn these, the 90, the 180, and you're learning the 0 right now. You will find out what a 45-degree angle is, and that's basically a 45-degree angle is a diagonal line. Remember, we're cutting on a head form that is round and inverts in on the side, on the back nape. That inverts in. So this is where the architecture comes in. This is where the geometry comes in. lines and angles. That's what that is. So this is part of the hair cutting that you didn't know about before. So that's 0, that's 45, that's 90, that's 135, and 180. 180 is held straight up. Now, if you're holding it, if we get this protractor and we put it right here, that's a 180. But if we put the protractor at the top and we lay it across, it's no longer a 180, but that's just a recognized cut. That 180 means hold it straight up. The 0 means hold it straight down. The 90 means hold it straight out. Those are just all factors about hair cutting that stylists deal with every single day. For us, it's just common language. It's like saying, you know, how do you start a car? Well, with your car keys. Well, some of them don't. My husband's car, you push a button, but you got to have the car keys with you to do that. But anyways, it's, you know, you've got to know the terms so that you can speak the language. All right, so as you can see, I dropped that down, and that's what it's called, dropping it down. I didn't put it down. I didn't grab it. I subsectioned it. You don't grab the hair and put it up and twist it in there. You subsection it and you clip it up. That's professional. A doctor does not go in and chop you up. A doctor does incisions and surgery. All right? So if we're going to remove the hair, okay, there's nothing there to cut. We ran out of hair, but I hope you can see this. Let me put her up here so you can see it. There's just a tiny bit, just that 1 inch that we needed to get rid of right there. So, and then the hair underneath is what's called a guide. Now see, I already know to move, to travel around it. This is what the 0 elevation is. You take it then and you feel it to see. And I'm a little longer on this side. I can feel it. Can you guys see it? Can you see it? I can't see it right now. Get behind the mannequin. Oh yeah, I'm just a little bit longer, see? Just a scotch. So where am I going to look for that corner? I'm going to look for that corner right here. So I'm going to take it, bring it straight down, and there's just a tiny bit. You get a white piece of paper. See that little corner? That's all that is. That corner is what's creating that length. So I'm going to go back to the area that I know it's at, right here. Hold the hair straight down, get that corner out, and travel again towards the front. Well, I'm going to put the comb down because I know it's getting in the way for you guys to see. Just a habit for me to hold it. There you go. It wasn't very much, just enough. There's a little bit there. Okay. Nope, we're good. And now, when we see it, pull it straight down, and we're even. I think. I hope. It feels good. So what do you guys see? Cameraman, does it look even? I feel like it's a little longer. Do I have some length here? He doesn't know. Remember, one side is wet, one side is dry. So let me go to this corner. There it is. And you'll find it. You'll get used to finding it. There it is. Okay. And it's going to take time. You're not going to be as fast as I am. Please slow down. Learn to look up, look down. Look up, look down. When you're holding the hair, make sure that every single one of those hairs is straight up and down. When you're in this area, make sure that each one of those hairs is straight up and down. Make sure that your fingers are straight. Remember, we're learning a procedure. You're not learning to cut yet. You're learning how to cut. So don't get in a hurry about it. 1-inch increments. You're going to find that your hair is going to start looking a little bit thicker. It's going to start looking a little bit better. All right, so when you get to the top, we want to call it the natural fall of the hair. And I'm going to bring the mannequin down just a bit. There. So I know I'm going to run out of hair. It's not going to reach. But at the top, you always want to part it down the center. That's called the natural fall of the hair. And I have no hair to cut. It's not long enough to reach all the way to the bottom. There's a little tiny sprigs right there, but not anything to be concerned about. So this is the first haircut that you've learned. This is the first haircut that you're doing. And those of you, my 6 girls, I still have your names, that won those prizes, you get spray bottles like this. So the better you do, the better you do. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you something. Get that white paper again. See those? So is that off the top? Yes. Surprisingly enough, it is. I didn't miss it from the other one. Now here's the variable on this cut. What did I tell you about when hair travels? It gets longer. That's just a rule of thumb. This hair is going to travel back to the flat part of the head to be cut straight across. So what's going to happen, I have a couple of little hairs right here. I showed them to you. What's going to happen when that comes back, and I'm just going to get those sprigs right there. I know you can't see it. What's going to happen now, this hair traveled back, right? Now what we have here, let me get it nice and wet so you can see it. We're going to have a corner. And you're going to see that this is going to be now slightly longer than the other hair. And I'm going to put a paper in front of it for you to see it, because you can't see it with all that darkness right there. And you're going to see the corner. See it? Right there. Now when you have a lot more hair than this mannequin has, all right, now look at the hair on the sides. It's shorter, a little bit longer, because it traveled. All right, and there you definitely see that hair that's almost V'd out in the front. All right, that's because it traveled back. So this area at the frontal fringe is longer than that at the apex and the flat part of the head. So knowing that, this is where you decide, because if you take it off, what's going to happen is you're going to have, now this mannequin doesn't have a lot of hair, but if you get somebody with a lot of hair, you're going to have some slight layering now. Because if we traveled it over to this direction to cut it, and then we take that corner off, let's say we take that corner off when it travels up here, it's going to be shorter. So you're going to have a slight layering. So if the client wants a true zero, where everything is just straight across, you're not going to take that corner off. If she doesn't mind, and this is when you talk to your client, would you like just a few little layers in front? So these are factors. These are all factors in hair cutting. So let's talk about this a little bit. We took the haircut, subsectioned it at the parietal line, clipped that up. Sectioned it again at the flat part of the head, sectioned it tip of the ear to tip of the ear horizontally, sectioned it at the nape. When we chose to bring it down, this is the back of the head, and you see all these lines. You're going to write this down in your diagrams. If you don't write it down, you're going to forget how to do it. You're going to forget the little things about, oh, why is it longer on one side? You're going to forget about where to look, and what you're going to do, you'll start cutting that longer side, and then you're going to wonder, why isn't it matching in the back? So you start from the back and move forward, no matter what side you're on. I know one side, we cut forward, the other side, we cut back. So what is it that you need to do is important to know. Once we subsection at the center nape, we bring it straight down, we look at it, and make sure that the lines are straight. We cut that. That last haircut on this side becomes the guide for that area right behind the ear. However, it's not going to be held straight, it's going to be held at a slight angle. So we're not going to hold it straight across. We're not holding, once we're done with that center nape, we're not going to hold it straight across. We're going to hold it at a slight angle. We're traveling around the head form. That last haircut becomes your guide. The last haircut here, not this one travels till we get up to the flat part of the head to make sure it's correct. Making sure the entire time that you're holding your shear straight down. Always look at it. Is my shear off? Is my shear straight? See, that's part of the practice. That's part of looking to see what you're doing. When you do it on a person, you're going to have some problems because they said, I just wanted to trim. And now you've got one side longer than the other one. Now I'm going to share something with you. There was one time a client of mine came in, and she was one of my once-a-year clients. Had her hair down to her hips, and I would always just do a 0 elevation on her. All right, when they're standing in front of you and you need to cut the sides, you don't want to just cut the sides. You don't want to stand here and cut this side, and you don't want to stand here and cut this side. What you want her to do is you want her to turn her head. Now pretend her body's right here. See, her body's still straight. I'm then going to take the hair, because she has turned her head now. All right? Let me show you again. She has turned her head. So if I were to turn my head, my hair would still fall straight down. Do you see that? Look at it on someone. The hair still falls straight down. If I turn it back, it goes back. If I turn it forward, it falls straight down. So that's when she would turn her head. You would hold it straight down on her body. You're not cutting it at an angle because she has her head turned to her body. And that's coming straight down, and you're cutting straight across. So these are factors about cutting a 0 and somebody that just wants a trim. Now, remember, if you have somebody that has a lot of hair, section it off. Don't just bring it all down and cut it. This is a mannequin. This is not real. When you're working on your mannequins, 1 inch increment at a time. All right? How much time do we have, cameraman? 11 minutes? Okay. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm going to show you how to subsection for the next cut, and we're going to learn how to do the V haircut. First do this one 3 times. We're going to talk about it. This is going to take a long time for us to do. How do we create a V? How do we make it? I've just given you clues. How do we make this back to V out so that the center nape is longer than the area behind the ear and the flat part? How do we do that? I've given you one big clue continually about what happens when hair moves. I just told you. All right? Our next haircut, everything is going to come forward to one spot. The thing about cutting, just as we found each area with the 0, we're going to find one spot with the head form. These are going to be options that you're going to have. The biggest problem is going to be is these mannequins, the hair is not down to the waist. So you're probably just going to get a rounded look as opposed to a true V. The angle that you hold it, you're going to have to bring, this is going to be the longest point, right? So this has got to travel forward. The perimeter line will be your shortest point. The area here that you need to discuss with your clients, if they want layering, fine, they can bring it forward. If they don't want layering but want the V look, you only take it to the area behind the ear. That then is going to be your guide. And you determine how much you're going to take off. The fingers are going to be held straight down. Remember, these things are going to be repeated, repeated, repeated. All you're going to take off, again, is only 1 inch, but it is going to create a slight layering in the cut. But you will start seeing either a slightly rounded area or a little bit of a V. Your longest point is going to be at that center nape on the bottom. Right now, concentrate on the 0. Do it 3 times, please. I do want to show you how to blow dry some of these. We have lots and lots and lots of work that we're going to have to do. But we have to take it in baby steps, baby bites, for all of you to get it. And remember, when we have class, we're going to be talking about it. Some of you guys are going to have to show me how you did it. I have to see it. I'm fortunate enough to have a camera. If you have something that you can videotape yourself, my God, please do. I will watch it. And that's why I need you guys turning this stuff in. You're still going to have paperwork you have to turn in. So it's going to get really, really, really busy. It's going to get intense. So any questions, please ask. I will also show you after we're done, in the end, after we're done with all our cuts, you're going to take one of your other mannequins, and then I'm going to show you how to do most of the cuts, not all of them, the way that the book does it. And if you can get into the book, I'm going to still try and get you guys in. If you can get into the book, look at the different haircuts, because they're a little bit hard to understand with their British accents and all, and they're going to be using their terms, but basically you'll find that you've got to know where you're at on the head form. And that's why we take it in small increments. In the book, they take it in, it would have just been 4 quadrants, in other words, tip of the ear to tip of the ear, and you would have taken all this down, and they pretty much bring it all back. As opposed to keeping it straight, they blow dry it and then they clean it up, and they don't show you how they clean it up. To make sure that they get a nice hard line right there. So those are the things that are just, I want to teach you. I don't want to impress you, I want to teach you. So let me do that. Okay guys, God bless. Have a great week. You got 2 videos to watch. Take care.